Alright, so I'm just going to share my little thoughts with you. I have about 10 minutes before I pick up my wife, so that's all the time I have to make a video today. And I'm kind of scrounging for something to talk about, so I'm just going to let whatever comes to my mind just roll off my tongue. And I have no idea where I'm going to begin or where I'm going to end. I have no idea. But anyway, let me begin with I have a daughter that is turning 15 she's turning 15 this Saturday. Good grief. It's funny how, we have 4 kids, and it's funny, first of all, how different every child is from the other one. It's also strange how similar they are in so many ways. And they struggle and they strive to be different, but they don't really need to, because they are uniquely different. And where they bear similarities, they really can do very little of anything about it, because it's intrinsic, and it's something that they will always have with them. And while they try to discard those things now, it'll be the very things that bond them later, and it helps create memories. And I've seen it in families where people try desperately to be so different that they end up making themselves unsavory, and they become a problem child. And it's not that there's anything wrong with being so different. The problem lies in the trying to be so different, because you end up not being yourself at all. You're too conscious of what you're doing, what you're thinking, what you're saying, how you're acting, and it's not unlike when this is just an example of how human nature is. My dad used to he was a pastor, and he would counsel people who are wanting to be married. They're talking to him about getting married, and they would come to him for advice or counseling or whatever the case might be. And on occasions he would tell people, or he would tell me that other pastors have told people, I don't think this is going to work out. I think it's in your best interest not to do this. And I think that's wise to be able to tell people that. And what would inevitably happen, here's what they found out. Here's at least what he found out, was that when you tell people that something's not going to work out, they are so determined to prove you wrong that it ends up not working out, because that becomes the focus and not the other person. I mean, I know what the thought process may be upon hearing this. Well, you are thinking about the other person if they're saying that, and you're really going to work on them. You're really going to work towards that meet, but no, you're really focused on a project. You're not really focused on the person. You're focused on a project, and what happens is you end up creating tension that didn't need to be there. And had someone just left it alone and not said anything at all, it might have worked, because they wouldn't have been sidetracked with this project. It's the same kind of thing with kids. I never try to drive it home with them that you're either the same or that you're so different. Just let them be. That's who they are. But it's kind of funny to watch how transformative the years have been, and I look at how the kids were when they were young and what they're like now, and they go through so many changes and yet keep some of the same old things. And you got to remember, if you have kids and you're experiencing this, none of this is permanent. None of this is permanent. They go through stages. They really do go through stages. And if you have really little kids and you're enjoying it, and you're just having a blast with them, it doesn't stay that way. Trust me, it does not stay that way forever. I would say it might stay that way a little longer with boys than it would girls, especially for you fathers. Little girls change toward their fathers. Trust me. And every father I've known has said that. It's the rare exception that a little girl stays as in love with her father as she did when she was little. And they might come back around, but as they get to be a teenager, that all changes. So anyway, that's all I had to say about that. See, I told you I didn't know what I was going to say. Just let everything roll right off my tongue. So I don't know if I mentioned it to you. I think I mentioned it to my brother, so I get videos mixed up, but I'm going to say it here anyway. Over the weekend, I watched 2 really good movies, probably with movies that most of you guys have already seen, because I always see these things far later than most people do, because I don't have a lot of patience for movies. I used to love movies, but now they bore me to death. So I end up not watching a whole lot of movies. Half an hour television shows I can do because I can pick and choose. You know, it's pretty easy to walk away from them. It's pretty easy to get hooked on them, but you know, it's just television shows to me are different. They're not a lot of good ones, not a lot of good ones on there, but like the Netflix series, like Ozark and some of the other ones, I can get sucked into those, but not major network television. But anyway, movies don't really capture my attention a lot, but actually watched 2 good movies this weekend that I found highly entertaining. One was Joker. I know most of you guys have already seen that. And here's the thing. I grew up loving superheroes, comic books. I was fascinated by them. I mean, I loved it. I grew up in the early 70s when the Batman wore the baby blue looking tights and navy blue trunks and cape and what do you call that thing on his head? What do they call it? I can't remember now. Anyway, when he was wearing all that, now Batman wears all black and everything. But I grew up in the 70s, loving all that stuff, and Joker was always scary. And Joker in the old Batman series, to me, was the scariest one. Cesar Romero. Yeah, I thought he was the scariest one. And so anyway, so I didn't really expect much from this Joker movie. I really didn't even want to see it. I'm indifferent about Joaquin Phoenix. I could take him or leave him. But I sat down to watch this movie because the rest of my family was, and I'll have to say I was mightily impressed with it. It's one of the best movies I've seen in a long time. I don't know that I can say it's the best movie I've ever seen or one of the best movies I've ever seen. Watching it, viewing it a second time might render that. But it's got 11 Oscar nominations, so apparently a lot of other people think it's really good too. But that was a phenomenal movie. And you know, the very beginning of that movie, the opening scene where he's dancing, he's dressed up like a clown, he's dancing, there's a piano playing. The music in that, as soon as I heard it, I said, I know what that piece is. I know what it is. And I said, I was actually going to learn that. And I stopped and thought about it for about 10 seconds. And I realized, oh, it's the Temptation Rag. Now I'm obsessed with that piece. I'm learning how to play it on the piano. It was written in 1906. But anyway, yeah, Joaquin Phoenix, man. Jeez, he lost 54 pounds for that role. And so, I mean, and he said what he had to do. I was reading the trivia, you know, on the IMDb website. You read the trivia and you find out all sorts of things. That was an endless trivia pool. And anyway, I read that he lost 54 pounds. That's incredible, and it sounds excruciating. But here's the disappointing thing: is the director of that movie, I can't remember his name, but he said that he has no intention of Robert Pattinson's Batman or any Batman ever crossing paths with his Joker, which is really disappointing. I don't understand that, but we'll see what happens. And then we watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. That was a brilliant movie. My wife was a little bored by it, but I was highly entertained. And I'll have to admit, you know, I know all about the Manson crimes. I know all about that. And I've read a book about the whole thing. I can't remember who wrote that either. There's a lot of things I can't remember if you haven't noticed. But yeah, I know all about it. So when I was watching the movie, I'll have to admit there came a certain point at which I thought, I don't really know what Tarantino's point is here. But I was still entertained nonetheless. I think DiCaprio and Pitt, they're just great actors. And Pitt, he's one of those people, he's one of those guys you don't want to take your eyes off of because he has a lot of strange and funny quirks and mannerisms. And he's just I love watching Brad Pitt's movies, man. DiCaprio is just a great actor. But anyway, it was a fantastic movie, super entertaining. And by the end of the movie, I was like, wow, that was a nice take. An alternate ending to a tragic event in history. Very, very interesting concept. So anyway, that's my 10 minutes. I think it's close to that. And I'm about to round the corner and pick up my wife. Guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.